this. You're listening to the Megabyte podcast, of course. We're talking about some interesting technology. I'm scared.
I mean...
The price tags, I mean.
Yeah. With everything coming out these days, I mean, there's a lot to be scared of. Price tag being a big one.
Oof. Yeah.
So we're gonna pick up where we left off last week.
Okay.
Well, not right where we left off. We're going to the next gadget.
Okay.
Now, I'm probably going to butcher this name because I have no idea how to pronounce this.
See, and I think that would be a bad, like, a hit, or a miss versus a hit or a home run. If you can't pronounce it, how can you imagine saying, I want this for Christmas? Could you give me the...
You write it down. Write it down.
I mean, yeah, I guess, but I like the verbal,
I get it. I
just write it down. Email me, Frank. Would you just tell me?
Okay, so this is the NAM Unity Atom Headphone Edition. So this is actually really interesting looking.
Okay.
It looks like a bigger version of an iHome to plug your iPhone into.
Gotcha. Yeah. Oh, I can see that. Okay.
It says, if you want to put on a pair of headphones, dissolve into an armchair, and forget the world for a couple hours, this NIAM streaming audio system might be the best way to do it. The new edition of the Unity essentially squeezes all the hi-fi equipment you might need to produce high-fidelity audio into a small box. Headphones not included.
Headphones not included. Sounds like a commercial from the 90s. Batteries not included. Yeah, I'm like, what?
Inside, there's a digital to analog converter, a DAC converter, and a headphone amplifier.
A DC? Okay, sorry, go ahead.
As well as a whole bunch of tech designed to optimize your music library for playback on your cans. And when they say cans, they're talking big headphones like mine and Cactus's.
Yeah, like Turtle Beaches, or it's
Razors.
It's a word that we use in the studios called cans because they look like big cans in your head.
Mm-hmm. Those old-fashioned movie cans.
Yeah, way back in those days. Yes.
So it's a self-contained system with high-res streaming services like Qobuz, I don't know what the heck that is, and Tidal installed, alongside the likes of Spotify and Apple Music. So you can sit down with this thing, push your Spotify button, go listen to the Megabyte podcast, or, you can plug in a USB, hook it up to your phone, you can use Bluetooth, you can listen to the radio, your Apple Music.
So this is basically all in one.
Pretty much, yeah. You can connect it to your smartphone or your laptop with or without wires.
It's like it's like a substation. You just plug this in, plug that in, and you have all this stuff. But the headphones are not included.
Exactly.
So get those headphones while you can. But wow, there you go.
So
this sounds expensive, though.
Now, okay. For our European friends, this is 2,399 pounds.
Holy
Okay, you think that sounds expensive? For our American listeners, you can purchase it on Amazon for $3,240 US.
What?
eBay for $3,290. Or Crutchfield for the same as eBay, $3,290.
Let me see if I...
And they said headphones not included. How dare they?
How dare they? After this, it should wipe me, it should feed me, it should burp me. I mean, Jesus, $3,200?
Yes, $3,200. That's ridiculously expensive
Now, as in
for everything that the iHome can do.
holy, as much as it can do. Well, I'm kind of curious. What's the price tag in that one? What's the price point of the other one?
What, the iHome?
Yeah, just curious. If it's very similar, I'd like to see what's the difference in price.
Okay, so the iHome, you could that's not what I'm looking for. They have different like accessories, if you will, for the iHome, which include, you've got your classic, which is a Bluetooth bedside clock to a wireless charging alarm clock, and then those range between $49.99 to $79.99.
So that's a
And
dramatic change.
now that's just for the clock. If you want
Oh,
like speakers and stuff, their speakers still not too bad. $30 to $80.
okay.
And then now with COVID and stuff, they've got your little iHome um, phone sanitizer slash charger slash alarm clock that plays music, and those are $79.99 to $99.99. And then of course, your headphones, earbuds. Now, this is new.
Okay.
you iHome now has an auto vac. It looks just like a Roomba. You control it with your cell phone. And then they've also got the things we were talking about last week, the little Fuji film Instax photo printers. They have those as well.
Shit.
They have all sorts of tech accessories. So for the price of this Unity Atom machine, you can get everything in the iHome collection and still have money left over.
Surprise! Wow, that's crazy.
It is crazy.
And speaking of just keeping it around the iPhone and the Apple area, you ever heard of the iMac 24-inch?
See, I've heard about the iMac. And the MacBooks is their laptops.
They're pretty small too, just so many millimeters. I don't know if it's 11.5 or 115, but it's got a very slender frame. It's got the M1 chip in it, so that's probably why it's so thin. It's got various components to build its Macs. It's got channel that's working to smartphone, iPad chipset, so it's got chipsets like that, system of a chip, if you will. Let's see. There's all kinds of different things on here. There's processing units are they are able to work more efficiently, quicker than their predecessors. Jeez, there we go. That's better. It has a 4K Retina. Ooh, imagine that, having a 4K Retina display on board with a 6-speaker sound system squeezed in behind it. Plus, it has the Touch ID, so you can unlock your computer, log in, or pay for shipping just with that little fingerprint. I did say that.
I love, with my iPhone, mine has Face ID.
Really?
It does. I can unlock my phone by just looking at it. Other people cannot unlock my phone just by looking at it.
I couldn't stare at it and go, and it went over.
Nope.
Oh.
Nope.
Well,
when I set up my phone, I had to put my face in all sorts of different directions for it to scan. So the only way it opens is with my face or a PIN number.
What if I put my belly button? Would that show up on like if I were to do a security for my phone?
I mean, I doubt it. Because
uh,
it doesn't have your facial features.
it might if I
Now,
put a smiley
maybe
face.
if you put googly eyes and a little nose, then maybe. But,
I was born
you
that way.
you would have to, do that every time you unlock your phone.
So it's a 24-inch. Just to break it down a little bit further than what I just explained. It's a 24-inch Apple M1 chip. It's got an 8-core CPU in it. There's also a 7-core GP. Sorry, an 8-core CPU, a 7-core GPU, or there's an 8-core GPU. Okay, which doesn't sound like much, but trust me, does pretty damn good. There's a 512 up to 512 gigs of ultra fast SSD storage, so it's not hard disk drive or HDD for those who know acronyms. It is the 512 gig SSD solid state drive. Studio quality mic array for crystal clear calls and voice recordings as well too. Whew. So it doesn't sound too bad, but the price tag on this boy for Amazon at the time of this recording was $1,249.99, which isn't too bad for a computer.
I was about to say, you gotta think, though. This is an all-in-one computer.
It is.
It is. You do not need the tower.
That's true.
It is all-in-one.
It's basically like the face. Yeah, it's like it's weird.
It's the monitor.
I don't
know.
know.
All your computer components are inside of it.
Oh wow, that's crazy. And it comes in various colors too. There's there's a green, there's silver, there's blue, there's what is there? Pink, I think there was also another shade of like a orange and purple and stuff. So
I mean, the colors are really pretty.
They're like the pastels.
Yes, they're very pretty.
You know.
Well, and for European listeners, it is 1,249 pounds at time of recording. So, I mean, if you're looking at a pretty good price for an actual all-in-one computer.
Out the door. I mean, I think I've spent more on my computer as piece by piece than
for my whole tower. I know I've spent more.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's Apple, so that's a pricey brand. So that's actually a really good price for an Apple product.
I should say monitor not included on mine, because I had to pay extra for that. So
yeah, my monitors cost extra as well.
I'm still looking for that 144 hertz.
Right. Well, now moving on to our next gadget. And now I have one of these, but not this model. This is the Fujifilm Instax Mini 40 camera. I have the Fujifilm Instax 11. So mine's a little bit older, but generally speaking, we tend to look forward here at Science Focus, but this retro instant camera from Fujifilm is too cute to ignore. There are 2 modes and 2 buttons, one for selfies and one for normal shooting.
Simple enough.
A button beneath the lens pops the lens out so I can get up close and personal for selfies. And there's even a teeny tiny mirror embedded into the body so you can get a sense of what you're framing in your shot.
Oh, that's neat.
And then you just click the shutter button and wait 90 seconds for the AA battery powered printer to process your photo. And then it prints it out right there.
Again, now, wait, this sounds like that label thing that we were doing last week too, the one that you said you have.
Yeah.
Wasn't that by Fuji as well?
Yes, it's the Fujifilm. It prints out tiny little pictures.
There it is.
And mine does not have the little selfie mode, but that's pretty damn cool.
That is cool. That's something you don't see or hear of every day,
Because trust me, I've had my fair share of these pictures on my camera where I didn't line it up correctly and half of Zoe's head was cut off. So, But that is 89 pounds
Well,
at time
that's
of
not bad.
recording. Or Amazon has it for $89.99. B&H Photo and Video is $99.95, and B&H is again $99.95.
So you could basically, if I wanted to just take pictures on the fly instead of getting one of those, remember the day where you'd go to the beach, you'd grab one of those disposable cameras from like Rite
The ones
Aid
where
or
you wind it up,
yes, the
and
Fuji
it's got
ones
the
or whatever. Ironically
little
enough.
flash.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I see. When I worked at a retail store that developed film like this, I was the pro at opening those cameras up. Man, I could literally give me a flat-headed screwdriver. There was a sweet spot in every one of them. Sometimes though, you had to be careful because there's batteries in them that you can't access unless you pull it apart, basically. So what you're doing is you're making sure it was wound up, and then because it would feel, you know how it feels when it's wound up, and then you would crack it open. But sometimes you would have to pop the little transformer on there because the transformers usually hold power. They hold the charge, if you will. So you would have to take the screwdriver and pop it. Usually it made a nice poof noise. It would scare the customers and stuff, but I loved it because it was like a little firework going off, you know. But I've snapped it a couple times where it popped and hurt me. But there was batteries too, and those batteries were only used just like that much. So at the end of the day, I was allowed to take those batteries home, and I could use them in my remote controls. You know, it was like I didn't have to pay for batteries for months. You know, I'd had them right there, and they would only be used just for like a tenth of that energy. Yeah.
Now these cameras are pretty much they're bringing back Polaroids.
Polaroids are becoming a big thing now. Yes, I've seen more and more people using them.
See, the Polaroids themselves were about the size of, and I'm showing my age here, about the size of a floppy disk.
Yeah, yeah.
For our older generation.
Hey.
For our younger generation, it was probably about that big, a square.
Yeah.
About that big. So if you're looking at like these pictures, it was like two of these next to each other.
That's pretty crazy though. And how's the quality since you owned one? Well, just your biased opinion. Would you say the quality is like? The
quality is actually pretty good.
Would it be about the equivalence of like yesteryear's it's
pretty clear.
Okay.
This was across the room.
Okay.
It's really clear. And like my child gets more use out of it than I do. She runs around snapping pictures of everything, and she loves it because it's big enough for her to hold, and the button is big enough for her to be able to use it, as well as it's a good size for me to be able to use. So it's really versatile. Mine came with a carrying case as well, so I can take it on the go, and a little book where I can slide the pictures in so I don't lose them. So honestly, personally, my personal opinion, I think it is worth the money.
That's cool. Okay. I will take your word for it then. So you heard it first, ladies and gentlemen. It's worth the money. It's good quality video. And of course, it's Fuji. So Fuji isn't just one of those startups that just started yesterday. It's been around for years, decades.
Fuji has been out since I was a kid, even before that.
Now, here's something that we all can relate to eventually. When it comes down to, say, right now, maybe we have some relatives who are a little loss of hearing, or maybe for those who are the younger ones who still have problems with their hearing. Well, there's a thing called the Signia active hearing aids. Now, I don't know if I've heard of this or not, but
I've heard of Signia before, but I don't think I've heard of these hearing aids.
Now, they say in Europe, now to check this statistic out, 6.7 million people in the UK alone could benefit from a hearing aid, but only 2 million out of that 6.7 are wearing one. What is wrong with you, Europe? Wake up. Well, they hope to change that. This company, the Signia, is hoping to change that with Bluetooth technology. And also it comes with an accompanying mobile app. Now, this is interesting. A rechargeable battery and a sleek earbud style design. So it's just like little things that, in your earbud, which is really cool. The hearing aids bring assistive technology on trend now. They're designed for those who have mild to, I would say, I guess, moderate hearing loss.
Mm-hmm.
It aids the pack in intelligent software that boosts voices over background noises and comes with a virtual assistant to boot. Now, I don't know what the hell that is. That's kind of interesting. But if it helps out for those who are lost or can't hear very well, more power to you. I know Father Cacti I think he has a pair. I don't think he has these per se, but of course, over the years where he worked was a very loud background noise all the time. So eventually, of course, that comes to it, you would lose that. But if you were like one of those fools that were in the front row of concerts and stuff, you might experience this as you grow older as well too. And maybe in the second row of a concert as well too, or near the speaker at a dance club, and thump it in your ears to the point where you can feel the ribs vibrating and praying that you don't flop over like a fish. But they hope to change that. They hope to help people hear better. It has a Bluetooth technology. I've never heard of that in a hearing aid before, ever.
That's pretty cool. I mean, I wonder if it's with the virtual assistant, it probably is an app on your phone.
Yeah. The sister's like, can you hear me now, mofo?
That's terrible. And I wonder if the virtual assistant makes it to where you can tweak the settings and stuff. To where if you want to hear more background noise, you can turn that up. Or you want to hear voices, someone's talking to you, you can turn that up.
Right.
And background noise is down.
Right.
That'd be pretty interesting.
Okay. I could see that totally. That's crazy. I mean, I could just... I'm not laughing per se. I'm laughing with us when I said that phone app. It's probably like, oh yeah, brother. It's like I could just see Hulk Hogan on the back. Can you hear me now, brother? Yeah, brother. Yeah. Okay, well, so the price tag is for those people who are in the UK. It's $999 at time of recording. You could also buy it on eBay. Why? But you could. For a whopping price of $1,799 US.
That's expensive.
I mean, that's quite a hell of a jump between. I'd say, look, convert my US dollar to pounds, and I would buy. You'd save $800, $900.
Well,
we chihuahuas.
Now, this next one is. Are you ready to get a trip? The next one is called the Trino XO T. It's a t-shirt.
Okay.
All right.
I'm listening.
Make sure your ears are open.
All right, let me grab my ear. Go ahead.
Your
my hearing.
Stigma? Or
yes.
Signia?
Signias.
Okay, so this is an odor-fighting t-shirt made of recycled crab.
Crab?
Yeah, you heard that.
CRAB. We're talking the crustaceans that live in the ocean, not the ones that are... Okay. Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Now, this unassuming t-shirt is made of Chitosan? Chitosan?
Chitosan?
Chitosan?
Chitosan, yeah.
Yeah, a material obtained from the exoskeleton of shellfish.
So if you're allergic to it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you're allergic to shellfish, do not get this shirt.
That'd be messed up.
It is one of the most abundant ingredients on the planet, so its creators, Allbirds, that's one hell of a company name.
Yeah.
Decided to use it to make some of its clothing line. According to Allbirds, this special blend also has odor-fighting properties. It presumably has a surface that's hard for smelly bacteria to colonize, which hopefully means you have to wash it less and it'll last longer.
Okay,
wow. So
how do you feel about this?
I don't know how to feel about this.
A shirt made of crabs.
Not just any crabs. Recycled crabs.
I mean...
So What do they do? Do they go to like the Chinese restaurant with all you can eat crab legs and take the shells?
Here, could you give me your shells, please?
I'll
What
give
in
you a
the?
shirt. Give me your shells.
I make shirt for you in exchange. I mean, can you stop and think about this for a second? Now, I'm curious. I'm really curious how this shirt would feel. Number one, number two.
Right?
Again, for those people who are can't have shellfish or are allergic to
Allergic.
shellfish in general, does that affect those people?
That's a good question.
I mean,
Well, you can
holy
find out
shit!
for you can find out for $47.99.
I should contact them and say, hey, look, I will wear your shirt online live. If you can send me a shirt, I will wear it. That's just like with anybody out there, you know. And okay, here's another question too on the fly, Fufu. Can you eat this shirt? Can this shirt be? Did you throw some sauce on this shirt and chew it up?
I mean, the color, maybe.
The colors of this shirt, ironically enough, are really funky.
Right.
I mean, it looks basically it's from what I see is like an orangey red. Maybe it's my tinted glasses, but it's like a red.
No, it's an orangey red for me too.
I mean, I would be curious to see if any listeners out there who buy this shirt, if you've bought this shirt or in the process of buying it, get back with me when you get it. If you start wearing it for a couple weeks, whatever. Is there going to be any? I mean, okay, so more questions. So if your armpits start doing their thing, is it going to smell like crabs when you start sweating? Oh, I must be near a seafood restaurant. Or worse yet, downstairs. What's that going to start smelling like down there? Do I want to know?
I want to know. Just throwing that out. I don't want to know.
I'm so curious of like all these different things though. That's what makes it so damning. Like
that's what makes this topic so different and so unique.
Right.
Because we're learning about things that's coming out now. Or that has come out throughout this year that we never would have thought of.
I would have never thought of these. That's an interesting shirt. I really like that. I don't know. I'm a shirt whore. So
I know. Maybe you should get one.
Maybe I should look into it. But I really should. Allbirds.co.uk.
Or on eBay.
And it's called the Men's CT. Oh, it comes in various different colors too. It comes in black, it comes in gray, it comes in white. So it's limited edition colors. There's a yellow, there's a navy. I mean, there's some too. There's one that says material blends eucalyptus trees, merino wool, and crab shells for a supernatural fiber that stays soft and reduces odor. So it's got eucalyptus, merino wool, which I think is supposed to be very soft, if I'm not mistaken, and crab shells. Yes, I'm talking real crab shells. Yes.
So they're made in Lima, Peru.
Of all places. All places in Peru. So that for $45, 47 give or take it was, I think you said. That's not too bad.
I mean, and they don't even come in my size. Or they do, but they're out of stock on all but the black.
There you go. Now, okay.
So these seem to be selling pretty well if they're out of sizes.
Yeah, they must be really doing well. I'm curious. If somebody's out there, get a large or maybe an XL just for me, so that way if it shrinks.
Yep. Especially
send
if it's
it my
got
way.
any cotton in it.
Send it to my P.O. box. I'll let you guys know about it. Have you ever thought about flying a drone?
I have seen drones. I've never flown one. I don't know if I want to.
For me being a cinematographer, I'd love doing photography and video. This would be really fun to do. And now I don't know anybody around me who has a drone,
Yeah.
but I see them more and more. I don't know if I don't know which is a good brand, cheaply made to an expensive one, but we'll let you guys figure that one out on your own. This one's called the DJI FPV drone. DJI is a company, obviously, that beams the view from its camera straight to a headset. So imagine if you were like the Oculus. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have an
VR.
Oculus, like a VR headset. So that is your viewing scope, I'm assuming.
So does that mean FPV means first person view?
I would assume first person view is what that stands for. Yes. It's a user friendly version.
Cool.
Yeah, it is. I think okay, so think for a second, like drone racers, the pilots that race those things and stuff, they use these in competitions. The speed of this bad boy, this is kind of sick. The max speed is 140 kilometers. Okay, so that's equates, for those who don't know kilometers, like me, that's 87 miles per hour. That's fast. That's faster than freeway speeds.
That's faster than I drive. And I drive pretty fast.
I was going to say that's about speed average, give or take, of Blondie's driving.
I was about to say, don't even say it's my speed average.
I don't know. I've never been in a car with you, and I'm kind of nervous.
Oh,
okay.
Don't even.
Get this. Are you ready for this? This is even faster than a Porsche on the flat from 0 to 60. This thing can take off from 0 to 60 miles an hour in just 2 seconds. Holy that's crazy. It has a range of 10 kilometers, which is equivalent to 6 miles.
You said 0 to 60 in 2 seconds.
Yeah. Holy crap.
Okay, so at Busch Gardens, there's a roller coaster, and it's called the Cheetah Hunt. And it goes from 0 to 60 immediately. Like, it shoots you off, and you go 60 miles an hour as soon as you, take off.
Compressed air. Shoot.
Yeah. So you're saying this drone does the same thing?
This little drone can go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 2 seconds. 1, 2.
My Lord.
Bye, Felicia. It's gone. But do you really need it to go that far? Now, of course, with something this fast and this capable of 6 miles in distance, the range, you'll definitely need a spotter. They can keep an eye out for people or obstructions before, where you're going to fly this thing. But imagine that. You'll get 25. Now, here's a fun fact, too. You only get 25 minutes out of flight time because of the power of it, I guess. So it only has, because of that speed, that technology, I guess if you're flooring it down, it'll be 0 to 60 in 2 seconds. So you're going to get about 25 minutes between flights, but that's not really that bad. I mean, 25 minutes of aerial view. Think of that, 4K HD, even 1080 HD.
I mean, that would be pretty.
You can make
look at, but again, who needs to, go that fast? I mean,
something that fast. I guess it would be like if you were needing to take off right away. Like if you're spying on your neighbor, like you're watching them just jump into the shower, or maybe a mistress on the side, and you're trying to get that. You need to get the hell out of Dodge.
Okay, but
I guess that would be the only point I can see. Right?
Oh my god.
That'd be crap. Okay, so the price at time of recording is £1,249, and that's in the UK, of course, in Europe, and all my friends out there. You can buy it at B&H Photo Video. I guess that is a company store. You can buy it for $11.99 US or $1,199 US, or you can buy it on Amazon. Everybody knows that place, and there's a cat around. For $1,287.99, you're growing an extra head on your head. You can buy dig.com for $12.99 as well, too. So, I mean, it's not really that bad. This, I would assume, is a entry or a better than entry point. If I'm going to go for it, if I've had some technology, if I knew how to fly one before, I'm like, I want to upgrade, this would be you. This would be for you for out there. Unless you just want to say, hey, I got $1,300 to waste if it crashes. Oops, oh well. Grandma, another $1,300, please. Right away, sweetie. Oh, that's sad. How did I go that far? Zero. You can't see me. Why is there something staring at me in the window?
Well then, let's go from drones to something I desperately want. Yeah. So this next one is a Simba.
Can I
Not
do
the
it?
Circle of Life.
Simba.
Not that Simba. But a Simba hybrid Luxe mattress. Now, a good night's sleep is one of the most important things you can do for your health and well-being.
That is true.
Me personally, I have insomnia really bad. I don't sleep at night.
What?
So, yeah, even when I get off of here at
Right.
11, I'll go lay in my bed and lay there until 2
Ooh.
and not be able to sleep. And then I have to get up in the morning at 6:30 to take the child to school. So,
Mm-hmm.
if this
So give
if
or
this
take.
would help,
Mm-hmm.
I'll take it. It's a memory foam mattress, and it says memory foam mattresses are fashionable, but their spongy embrace isn't for everyone. Simba's patented hybrid solution pairs springs with open cell foam, a memory foam like material with internal pockets that allow the mattress to disperse heat.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing?
I'm
Are
gonna
you
try to
trying
see if I
push
can
the
poke that off your shoulders.
Anyway, this creates a mattress that's firm, ensures two people sleeping in a bed won't feel each other move around, and is cooler than memory foam.
Uh-huh.
The company's latest upgrade, the Hybrid Lux, adds a second set of springs to provide extra support and remove any chance of sore joints for side sleepers. Plus, Simba has added a breathable bamboo wool layer just beneath the top layer to help regulate your temperature and fend off a sweaty night's sleep.
Interesting. So this is a hybrid mattress.
Yes, a hybrid
And
mattress.
a foam. Okay, gotcha.
So, time of recording for a single mattress, it starts at 1,099 pounds, and then I'm trying. There it is. Okay, don't scratch. I'm only seeing in pounds.
So that's interesting.
So
A memory foam mattress and fashionable but spongy. That's cool. I mean, I know. Okay, I'm kind of weird when I say this, but I'm very picky on pillows. I'm very picky when it comes to my pillows. Like it can't be too. It cannot be too fluffy or too stiff, but it can't be to the point where like I ooze into
sink
it.
into it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I like the kind of that middle firm. I'm like the three
Yeah.
bears, I guess. I'm the middleman, if you will. And I have a fun fact. I have a true fact. I have difficult times at hotels unless I bring my own pillows that I use, the two that I use, because of the fact that I just can't find that comfort. And I'm sure people at home can relate to as well, that it's difficult to find that specific groove, if you will, your head is produced on the pillows, I guess. But what's funny is the one hotel I go to that they give me comps for, when you get in there, there's like 6 pillows already sprawled on your bed. It's like, holy Jesus, that's a lot of pillows. So you have like a firm one here. So you have like 6 layers
You've
of
got a
different
range.
You do. Yes. Yes, you do.
Okay.
But I mean, that's not too bad though for, I guess if from a, what did you say, 1,100 pounds, give or take?
Okay. So for what is this one? A queen, I think. Oh, a king. A king-sized mattress is 1,336 pounds, and to convert it for our American listeners, that is $1,821 for a king size bed. Now, I mean, it's for a king size bed.
That is big.
That's that's a pretty. I mean, you could go super king,
which would be California king, I would assume.
Yes, I'm pretty sure. But they also have a single, which would be in American terms, that would be a twin.
Right.
They also have a double, which I'm thinking would be probably a queen, a full queen.
A double, I think it would be, queen.
And then you have your king and your super king, which would be California king.
I am king. Simba.
I mean
to me, honestly,
think about it. For a hybrid bed, that's not a bad price.
And for a memory foam, that's pretty much in the same ballpark of the other ones. It might be a little bit more pricier on the price point, but memory foams are notoriously known, number one, for the comfort levels. Number two, the rage about being able to sleep better because it contorts to your bodies, because all our bodies are all different. You know, everybody's size, weight, height, whatever is different than, unless you're twins, identical twins, I guess. But in a long story, though, it does memorize your contours. That's the word I'm looking for. So that would be kind of, it kind of like cushions over you. So that's not a bad price if you think about it. And a king size is a little too big. I wouldn't mind one, but I already had problems with my queen size bed trying to fit into my room, you know, the cardboard box there, you know.
I personally, I want a king size bed because we have a queen, and when Zoe jumps in bed, it is not big enough for the three of us.
Yeah, 3 people I can understand. 2 people.
2 people's pushing it enough.
That is true. Now, all those people out there who have a PlayStation 5, get ready to flip. Okay.
I don't have a PlayStation 5. We were looking into getting one.
Okay.
But
there is a thing. It is the PlayStation VR controllers, or virtual reality controllers, that kind of fit around. They kind of look like weird fist thingies that go around you.
To me, it looks like they took and split the PlayStation controller.
It does. Yes.
It kind of looks like they took this side and this side and split it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, how you hold it like this. It's got the thing coming here and around the wrist. That's what it looks like to me.
Yes, it does. The thumbs where the controller sticks would be the analog sticks, of course. So what it does is it has, now this is from Sony. Sony has revealed what its motion controllers, which are translate your hand movements into the virtual world, looks like to a degree. The finger touch detection that senses when your digits are placed on the remote. This will enable you to pick up and manipulate objects in the virtual world in a natural way, which is really cool. So in other words, you can, I wonder if that would be a better on, like, say, Phasmophobia. Is it Phasmo even on consoles? I don't know.
I don't think it is.
I don't think consoles can handle virtual stuff like that. Now I know they have like the golf things for like the Switch and stuff, and that's kind of like, if you look at the controllers for the Switch,
the Joy-Cons,
yeah, exactly. That is kind of like, you know, early stages of VR controllers and stuff. So they were up in the thingy.
Yeah.
Now, to be announced is the price tag of these things. I'm not really sure. Let's see if they've sent anything new. The design is like a let's see, orb shape that allows the controller naturally to be held naturally. So it kind of has that nice, you know, grip on it. There are no constraints whether you're moving your hands, so it provides people to create unique gameplay experiences. So everybody would play it a little bit differently because of the way it's manipulated and holds in your hands. They used various different testing methods. They used various different things from people. Of course, everybody has different size hands. I have very big hands, and I guess I wouldn't have an issue with it as well too. It took a lot of time, decades of insight from controllers all across the PlayStation platform. So they looked at it and they said, okay, look, how can we provide more technology to something we already have? Let's do virtual stuff. So we'll look at the very first gen console controllers of the PlayStation. What can we do to focus second gen, third gen? So they moved up and they said, okay, let's focus on the insights of this stuff and see how we can change it and turn it into virtual. So this is what they did. It looks pretty decent. Doesn't look too bad. Adaptive triggers, left and right, has a haptic feedback, finger touch detection, has tracking, just like a lot of VRs do. So that seems pretty cool. Action buttons with the analog sticks, but there's no price tag on this thing yet. I'm not sure what the thing is, but this will be for the PlayStation 5. For those who are able to get it. I'm not standing out to midnight or whatever, or letting bots buy them as soon as my store drops it.
Exactly.
PS5 VR controllers. Look for those very soon.
Now, we're going to go from console to speakers. This next one is called the BioSound Emerge. It's a smart speaker. This might just be the best looking smart speaker money can buy. And I'm not going to lie, it looks pretty stylish.
Sleek.
Beneath the bookish disguise. Because, yeah, it looks like you could just put it on your bookshelf and no one will ever know the difference.
That's ingenious.
The BioSound Emerge is equipped with Google Assistant, so it can control any compatible connected home tech. So, you know your little Google thing that you just got?
Mm-hmm.
It can control that.
Nice. That'd be interesting.
The audio is powered by a separate tweeter, mid-range driver, and a subwoofer. So it will create room-filling, detailed sound despite its size. If you somehow have enough spare cash to buy two, you can pair it with a second speaker and create stereo sound.
Well, you hit it right on the head when you said like a bookshelf, because it is.
It's very sleek, and it kind of, if you look at it, the actual speaker part looks like the spine of a book.
It does. It really does. It looks really interesting. And you know what's cool too is if you were to put it in your bookshelf, nobody would know the difference. You could hear music. I mean, does it bounce it back, or is it just maybe you would just play it forward because it looks like, okay, I got you. I see it. I'm looking at it reversed. Okay, so it does look like a spine of a library book or a book in general, and that would provide music. That'd be really cool to do. You're in your library, you're listening to music, classical music, playing a little opera in the background, whatever. You're studying for an exam or college course or whatever. That would be cool.
This speaker comes in two colors. It comes in a gold tone with the light oak wood outer like edge.
Mm-hmm.
And then it also comes in a sleek black. Now, it features some it's elegant and ultra slim and fits anywhere from a bookshelf in the bedroom to a tight corner in the kitchen. Despite its size, it reaches you everywhere in the room with full range, ultra wide sound. The ultra slim profile contains the revolutionary driver configuration, finely tuned by Bang & Olufsen engineers. Exceptionally small drivers have been specially arranged to create a full-range audio experience that enhances clarity no matter the environment. The 4-inch woofer produces omnidirectional low frequencies no matter where it is pointing, while the compact 1.45-inch mid-range driver and the 0.6-inch tweeter are arranged at the top for maximum impact.
You know what? I wouldn't mind getting this for myself. This would be cool. I don't have a bookshelf per se, looking to get one in the future, but it would be really neat to have these. You just put it, they're super thin. They look just like books.
Now, it's not really very big. I mean, obviously, 4-inch woofer, the 1.45 mid-range driver, and the 0.6 tweeter. It's not very big. It's very, very thin.
Yeah, it's
6.7 inches wide by 25.5 inches tall by 16.5 centimeters long, I guess.
right. Okay.
So it's pretty small.
Yeah, I wouldn't say this is going to bump, like thump bass or anything like that. This would be more or less like if you put this in somewhere where you want music, but you don't want something overbearing. Like if you had a rough day at work, you just want to come home and listen to your favorite classical piece or even just do rock and roll, whatever. Yeah, I mean, it's going to sound pretty good, but the technology that's built into it doesn't sound bad at all. If you bought, like you said, if you bought two of them, hey,
Now, the connectivity, it has Bluetooth connection, Wi-Fi connection, AirPlay for Apple, Chromecast built in, Spotify Connect. It also has the integrated Bang & Olufsen radio. It has an Ethernet port, a line-in optical combi jack. Its power is a USB-C plug-in, and it's got a service port via the micro USB. So, I mean, this thing looks awesome, and it sounds really well too. And the price tag on this for the gold tone, it is 669 pounds, and that converts to $911.50. Or the black one is 539 pounds, and that converts to one second. That converts to $735.75. So it's a bit on the expensive side, but again, it is something that's new. So if you want to wait a little bit, maybe a year or two, the price should come down.
I mean, yeah, it's not too bad, but you would have. Is that just for the one though, right? That's just for one.
Yeah, that's just for one.
That seems a little pricey for one, but I mean, try it out. If it doesn't sound as good
as it seems,
but I mean, you would want to buy it in twos. I'm surprised. Excuse me.
Or you can buy just the one, and if you really like it, then buy a second one. Buy one, test it out, see how you like it before you spend that big amount of money on two of them.
Right, yeah. You don't want to spend a huge amount. Try it out. If it's something you like, if it's something that sounds good in your ears, I mean, go for it. And then generally down the road, if you want to buy stereo, then you can do it as well. I know
exactly.
When I was a kid, I used to tinker downstairs. I'd have speakers, those big clunky speakers on different areas. I'd listen to the radio stations. I'd listen to rock or whatever it was while I was doing stuff with wood and all that fun stuff. So I could see now with technology, everybody's worried about space. Everybody's about condensing things. Everything's supposed to be small, but we've talked about this before on the podcast where things are starting to get bigger again. It seems like phones were tiny. Now it's like you have a big screen on your TV or your phone rather. Now you can virtually play video games and stream video games off your phone.
You can do anything.
Phones are now bigger in gig size, and processor speeds are triple that what they were just a decade ago. So that's really interesting as well too. We are running out of time already. Jeez Louise.
I know. Where has the day gone?
This day just went by. Woof. Went crazy. We probably touch base again on something. We could finish this up probably next week as well if you wish.
Maybe.
Why have to look
Maybe
at
we'll
it?
finish it. Because
Maybe
I don't
we'll.
know. It seems like these two lists are dragging out.
Yes,
But
that's true.
they're interesting topics.
They are.
Especially our gadgets.
The gadgets one is really cool too. I really like it. I like it all. It's really good.
I do too.
If you have missed other episodes, guys and gals, and ladies and gentlemen, please be sure to check out the prior Megabyte podcast shows that can be found anywhere on the World Wide Web, pretty much on any of those locations. You can also find us directly at anchor.fm/squeamish cactus. That's all one word. Anchor.fm/squeamish cactus. That's where the main hub it is. But you can also find us on Spotify and various other places as well, too. Google Podcasts. We're getting out there.
We are.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Soon. Zoom. That's really nice. Well, that's all the time we have. I guess we can go from there. We'll see you next time. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Megabyte Podcast. I'm your co-host, Squeamish Cactus.
And I'm Poo-Poo.
And if you've missed any of our prior podcasts, ladies and gentlemen, of the Megabyte Podcast, you can now listen to each episode simply by going to anchor.fm/Squeamish Cactus, or by simply going to Spotify.com as an example and searching the Megabyte Podcast in the search bar. Indeed, you can. Part 3. Part 3. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for another spooky moment? I mean, look, we're just literally just a couple of weeks away, 2-3 weeks tops from Halloween.
It is my favorite season.
It's a good season. I don't like the chilliness. You know, when I was out and about, I had seen some of the leaves or the changing of the colors on the trees on the west side of my state have begun. Now it's not really faint. It's not over here yet, but
okay. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
Fall is my favorite time of the year.
Mm-hmm.
That is the only thing I miss, is the color changing.
Really?
Everything else, you can keep it. All that cold stuff, that's all on you.
Well, I mean, if you'd like some, I will ship it to you in a box, a nice cardboard box. I will separate it and give it to you and mail it to you. You open it up, like 30-degree weather, 20 degrees.
No. How about you just box me up some leaves that have changed really pretty colors?
Oh, yeah, we do have that.
Talk.
We do. We are very well. We are known for the beautiful landscape of the treescape, if you will, of the beautiful colors of the different trees. A lot of people like to go probably around this time frame right now, go further north, and they just hit that, and photographers just love it. It's absolutely gorgeous.
There was an episode of Family Guy, and you know how they're up in Rhode Island.
Mm-hmm.
They called the people what we call snowbirds.
Right.
They call the leafers. The people that come up from the south to see the leaves changing. Just like snowbirds come down from the north.
They do.
From the cold.
You know,
let me tell you, I hate it. They don't know how to drive.
This is how we drive up here, though. This is how the Northerners drive. I mean, I don't know. For me personally, if I were to escape the winter, I would go probably further west. I'd go into Texas or to maybe New Mexico and go there, because New Mexico is it's beautiful. I'm sure. I've never been, but it seems to be pretty nice out there.
I've been as far as Texas. That's about it.
I've never seen Texas. I know 3 people from Texas. Excuse me, but I've never been.
Just like in the movies, when you see the color, it really looks like that. It's got that like orangey tint to it.
Really? The ground, the grass, or the dirt, rather, I should say? Wow.
Yeah, the dirt actually has cracks in it because it's so dry. Yeah, it's like it is in the movies.
Oh my goodness. Well, today we're talking about various different things, but today's topic, the first hour anyways, is the most haunted places in America. Now, we've talked to this for 2 other podcasts before because it's so popular, but also because of the fact this list is huge. So
you
we're
gotta
just
think. It's one of every state. There's 50 states.
That's true, and that's very true. But you know what's really cool too is some of the stuff that we have read, or at least I have read. You can open up a side page or a sub page, if you will. You can go and look at other things from that state as well too, which is even more cool. Let's take a trip up north. You ever been to the old Great Lakes state? Have you ever been up there? The Wolverines, if you will?
I've never been to Michigan, no.
You ever heard, do you know why they call them Wolverines? Why it's called the Wolverine state?
No, I don't.
Let me educate you.
Okay, I know it as the Great Lakes state, but I do not know it as
the Wolverines? Well, for one, do you watch football?
Sometimes.
You ever heard of the Michigan Wolverines?
Nope. I'm a Pittsburgh girl. Sorry.
Okay, so they have 2 teams up there. They have the Spartans, which is the main the state, and then you have the ones who are in Ann Arbor, which are called the Michigan Wolverines. So it's 2 different college football teams. Okay, so one day,
I see.
Way back in the day, there was what they called the Toledo, Michigan War. The war basically had people from Michigan, people from Ohio, at the border where Toledo, Ohio is. But they didn't know the land at the time. Michigan wasn't a state, but Toledo wanted to keep the land right near the Toledo River, and they wanted to keep that property up there. But Michiganders, or the people there, were saying no. They wanted it, so they squabbled back and forth. There was no gunshots or anything, but it got to be really nasty, from what I was heard. There were a lot of yelling and stuff, and the people, in fact, called the Ohio people called Michiganders like Wolverines because they were just snarling and just at the people.
Foaming at the mouth.
So Ohio said, look, okay, just pump your brakes there, Michiganders. If you want some property, here's what we're going to do. If you allow Ohio to keep this waterfront, this river, because they, a lot of times people use for the rivers for commute and also for food and trading and all that stuff. So it's a very valuable resource to have a river. They said, well, in turn, we will give you the Upper Peninsula of Michigan in return. So Michigan reluctantly said yes, and they were called Wolverines because they were snarling during the Toledo War. But Michigan really got the good edge of it, and Toledo probably kicks itself in its ass to this day, or Ohio does, because up in UP, what did we have? A shit ton of copper ore. So there's valuable riches of ores all up in the Upper Peninsula. There's mining galore. There's beavers. There's fur trades. I mean, you name it. There's logging. A shit ton of different things. And Michigan definitely got the better edge of the sword. But that's the story.
So to kind of sum it all up.
Yeah.
Ohio and Michigan had a bitch fight.
They had a bitch fight. Yes. Yes.
That is why Michigan is called Wolverines.
The Wolverine state, yes, because, well, there's Wolverines here too, and they're nasty little suckers. Let me tell you, they're ugly. Stay away from them.
You'll learn something new every podcast. That's
true. And Michigan does has its haunts because of the Michigan, of course, the Great Lakes, and also I'm surprised the Fitzgerald is not on here. I've actually been up there where I wasn't in the water where the Fitzgerald went down, but I did see the water edge where the people or survivors, if they had survivors, try to swim to, because it was like 7 miles out, so it wasn't too far. Anyways, let's get to Michigan here. South Manitou Island. This is in the Leland Peninsula. Try saying this backwards, okay? I've been up here to these Leland Peninsulas, and it's really hilly and rocky, and there's like 3 or 4 casinos up there too. It is 16 miles offshore. Yeah, it's really cool. So when you go up into, like, if you were to look at your hand, like this is Michigan, okay? If you go up here where your pinky is, up here, if you were looking at it, it'd be like this in reality, but for camera's sake, let's say it's like this. Anyway, way up here is the Leland Peninsula, and they got good wine up there too. And it's really rocky and stuff. There is a place that's 16 miles offshore from the Lake Michigan's Leland Peninsula. South Manitou is home to 300-foot sand dunes. Now, the side of Michigan, Lake Michigan, there is tons of sand dunes. And they're really
Jesus.
big too. They're huge. It looks like Star Wars, like how they're on was that Tatooine, I think it is, where the deserts and stuff, where the sand
Yep.
people and stuff were. That's about how it looks. No kidding. It looks like literally something from Africa, just the Sahara deserts and Egypt. Anyways, there's a deserted shorelines and empty campgrounds with respect to the abandoned buildings of Detroit and Flint, they say. This is the equivalent or as creepy as you can get here in the state. There's a legend. This is what's important. Remember, I just told you about ships and stuff. There's a legend they said of a ship of cholera. Say that backwards. Stricken passengers that stopped at the island and the sailors buried them in mass graves where some were still alive. So imagine that. You have your passengers as cholera, dying of it or dead of it. Next thing you know, even some of the ones who are still alive, yep, we're going to bury you with them as well, too. That's horrible. There are 2 cemeteries, a cedar forest where unbodied voices are often heard up here. There's also, it's off the coast, is a shipwreck of the SS Francisco Morazan, where a young boy is rumored to have died after an attempt at exploring it on his own. There apparently is quite a bit of stuff up here. Anytime you get near mariners, anytime you get near water, especially huge bodies, and then on top of that you have shipwrecks, because it's very rocky up in that area. Of course you're going to get some haunted stuff. Shipwrecks, people dying, people,
Oh yeah.
they tried to get rescued by boat, but they had to go to a little island. So if you're up there in Michigan, if you go up that far, up north and west, go for it. It's cool. It sounds like it's haunted. I'll have to put that on my bucket list.
I'd rather stay on land.
Not much of a boater, are you?
I mean, if I had to choose between flying and being on a boat, I'd choose a boat any day. Like I've told you in the past, I know how to swim. I do not know how to fly.
You sound like me now when it comes to that stuff.
I'd rather drive than fly.
Yeah.
But if it's a long drive, maybe a day or two, I'll fly.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I've been to places, it took, from here to like say Georgia is like 17 hours. If you were to drive nonstop, which I have that under my belt, I actually did it. Left here at 4 a.m. and got there by 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock ish, 7 o'clock.
Have you ever done it with a screaming child in your back seat?
No, that I have not.
There is no such thing anymore as straight shot. Let's just say that.
Never been there. Never been in that situation anyways.
Well, let's head on over to Minnesota.
The land of 10,000 lakes. Sorry. I just know the sub-names of these places. I do.
Well, this one is the Wabasha Street Caves. Now,
that sounds familiar.
I'm not one for caves.
You don't like caves?
I don't want to go cave exploring. No, I've seen too many things happen in caves where people get stuck.
Oh yeah,
narrow passageways. I'm on the bigger side. I don't need no narrow passageways. No.
Well, I don't want to interrupt. I'm Batman. Either, I don't want to bother him. He lives in there.
Right.
Poor Batman.
All right. Well, this one is in St. Paul, Minnesota. Our favorite Minnesota haunt.
Nice.
I'm going to butcher this name. Four Pags restaurant.
Okay.
Recently closed. Luckily, Minnesota is home to as many haunts as it is lakes. One of the creepiest and most accessible is the Wabasha Street Caves. This is one of the liveliest places on the list. It's an underground speakeasy from the 30s that still hosts weddings and parties. So good that the original folks never seem to have left.
Ooh.
That in itself just sounds interesting.
That is definitely...
That's something. The 30s.
Yeah, speakeasies, of course, you had the dry spell of, having the prohibition, etc. Yeah, so that was actually a long time too. I'm surprised it actually reinstated. I'm not sure.
Well, apparently, the original folks include the ghosts of three gangsters who, in the cave's bootlegging days, skipped out on their check by getting murdered and buried in the floors.
Wow.
Yeah. And to
That's
this
messed up.
day, it really is. I mean, every time you walk on the floor, you're stepping on them.
Shit.
That alone can piss off a spirit.
Well, yeah, it desecrating their where they're
Their
buried or
resting
yeah,
place, yeah.
that will definitely do it. That's a no bueno.
So to this day, people report seeing uninvited, very dapper guests roaming the halls, along with the ghost of a bartender and a madam.
Madden. Oh, that's
Hmm.
cool.
That's interesting. I mean, so it says it's a cave, but they host weddings and parties.
See, I've heard of places like that that do stuff like that because of the
I mean,
acoustics. I mean, you could really have
yeah,
a thumping ass, you could have a thumping party and no, I mean, if it's like,
and it's pretty much soundproof.
it is. Oh yeah, and
People
you're
outside
deep
aren't
down
gonna
too.
know.
Yeah, nobody will be able to hear it. You might hear a slight boom, but I mean, you won't really like you
Only if you're
would.
standing in front of it.
Because if you ever noticed a cave, I personally, I'm going to show you this picture. I don't think you've ever seen this. I
I
was at
probably haven't.
the Fantastic Caverns. This is in Springfield, Missouri. I don't know how well you can see this, but this is one of the only like 4 in the world where you are allowed to travel on a moving vehicle on the floor of a real
Hmm.
cavern. This cavern goes down, I think it was 2 miles deep. It doesn't even feel like you're down 2 miles though. That's the craziest thing. So they took a photo of us as we were just descending. As you saw in that picture, it's kind of angled downward.
Yep.
You don't feel it really as you think. It's not like a steep drop. It literally
Yeah.
just feels like you're going straight, but you're kind of going on an angle. And they're like,
Yeah,
oh,
just a slight slope down.
the one guy said something like, right now you're about you're as deep as in the ground as you are as tall as the Empire State Building. I was like, what? That's cool. I was all geeking out and stuff. And the ceiling was really high. There was some points where I was scraped just barely. I mean, I had a duck. There were some points, but I'm of course I'm sitting on this truck thing, that
Yeah.
pulley thing. So it wasn't that bad, but man, it was an interesting thing. And the acoustics, like you mentioned, it was beautiful. He asked us, he asked me, or he asked the general audience, he's like, can anybody sing? Because they would have people that would come down there and sing because the
Yep.
acoustics are so good. It's like the reverb and the acoustics are just amazing on there. So I was like, that'd be cool. Nobody sang, sadly, but they're really cool though.
You should have gave it a shot.
I was going to say something and start singing. Some people, people do like Amazing Grace or Star Spangled Banner, and it just the acoustics there. What was there was a guy who purchased a cave. He purchased the land, didn't realize there was a huge cave there, and during the Civil War, he never fully explored it. But the Civil War Confederate soldiers wanted to use that place as a hideout for some generals and also too for various gunpowder and stuff like that, so they can attack the Union soldiers, and the guy declined them. He said, no, get out of here. So he never really went into the cave no more than, I think it was 50 feet. But three girls of young age, I think they were like 16 or whatever, braved this cave and went down there. We saw some cool stuff. We saw some stuff that predates Jesus, like the stalactites and stuff. It was really crazy. He said by the time every little drip of water, he says it takes thousands of years for those drips to form the stalactites. He says it only moves like so much every year, and they have calculated the distance between the ceiling and to that point. And he said that's just when Jesus was walking the earth. I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. Sorry, I like to go off on these things. It is.
I mean, it's really cool. Don't get me wrong. I love learning about it.
Right.
But going into it, I don't think I'd do that.
It's pitch black too. Let me tell
Yeah,
you.
that's another thing. I'm claustrophobic. So being in a cave and it's pitch black,
Right.
you don't know where the walls are,
It
and
was like it was huge. It was almost like a football like field length across you at some points. And he had said too, he goes like, we're at this point now where no bugs or creatures. This is the stopping point where any living thing stops and crawls. So they said they could store food down there. It's always at a nice like 65 degrees. No bugs interfere, no, anything at all. Just at that point, I was like, wow, that's crazy. Don't know why, but there's like a big imaginary line on the ground. But it was cool. I'd go back if I could, but I felt safe down there because they had severe thunderstorm warnings and we were safe down there too. So
well, yeah,
I thought, oh, if a tornado's going to hit, because that next day there was
safe.
two.
That's the safest place to be.
It's extremely safe down there, man. I didn't even hear the rain, which is absolutely crazy. So this was murdered and buried in the floors in St. Paul.
St. Paul, Minnesota.
Fidgeting down further south. You ever been to Mississippi?
I have not.
Mississippi, very up and down, kind of hilly. Nothing major, but just kind of laid back.
It's not Tennessee, but it's not Florida.
Right. It's almost like
somewhere in between there.
I would say it's like kind of like Massachusetts or so. It's kind of bumpy in some points. Well, there's a place in Jackson, Mississippi, of all places. It's a University of Mississippi Medical Center. It's a Gothic estate. Oh wait, it is a. Try saying that backwards. Back in 2014. Okay, so let's give you the up to date. Back in 2014, construction workers began a parking lot. Came across a mass grave of about 7,000 former Mississippi State lunatic asylum residents from the turn of the 20th century. So imagine that. You just find this huge mass grave of bodies of, I don't know how you count. 1, 2, 3. I mean, how do you count that and count up to 7,000 dead bodies? That's crazy.
They had to have one of those clicker things.
Yeah, click, click, click. You go ahead, click, That's crazy. So that was 7,000 former Mississippi lunatic asylum residents from the turn of the 20th century. So that was just back in not too long ago. Now, the asylum closed more than 80 years ago. But
that's not long ago either.
That's a blink. It is a blink in time. And it wasn't uncommon in those days to inter the deceased patients together in unmarked graves, I guess to save time, save space,
time, money.
And if nobody really wanted or claimed the person, like family, relatives, etc., I mean, that'd be a bad way to go. But you think of all the pain.
It's kind of sad if you think about it.
It's very sad. And to think that there's 7,000. I mean, holy shit! Not like 7 or 70, but 7,000.
If you think about how far we've come when it comes to like describing lunatics,
right,
mental illness,
right,
like learning and research about mental illness has come a very, very, very long way in 80 years.
That's true.
So those people, those 7,000 people could have just had like depression or anxiety, or autism, or ADHD even.
You got the hiccups? Oh, you're cuckoo.
You're mental. Exactly.
Yeah. They pretty much blamed it on anything and everything. Now, all walks of age, all walks of life, from kids all the way up to seniors.
Men,
but
women, children, it did not matter.
Aliens, whatever it was there, they would do that stuff. So it wasn't uncommon back in those days, Bunny, to inter the deceased patients together in unmarked graves. Now, here's the startling thing. It costs for outside contractors to remove and to rebury these poor people would have cost an extra $21 million, give or take. That's crazy. So what is that, like $300 a person or something, give or take, or 3,000 each? That's sad. So they decided to let them rest in peace until they can exhume the bodies through the university's channels and build a historical center where this parking lot would have stood.
Okay, but if they decided to let them rest in peace, do you really think they're resting?
No.
Peacefully, being bunched up together in unmarked graves
Imagine that, like
with no loved ones.
somebody's hand is in your face. Get that hand out! I can't move my hand. Okay, I mean, sorry, but yeah,
Exactly.
it'd
I
be a
mean, yeah, it's gonna cost a lot of money, but I think, you know, they deserve it.
but $21 million seems pretty
I don't
lucrative.
see why it'd be 20. I mean,
I,
unless it's the cost for the equipment to exhume the bodies, all the caskets and stuff, the
right.
tracking down their heritage, who they are. I understand it would cost a lot of money, but I don't think 21 million sounds right.
You got to figure just all those costs. You said that's a good point. I never really considered that, but that's true. You got all those costs, and on top of that, you got to figure out, okay, where am I going to bury all the 7,000 people? You can't just bury them in your neighborhood cemetery. I mean, you got to
Yeah.
spread that out, equally, because you could have John Doe and Amy Doe who have already purchased their grave plots. So you can't really bury somebody who's, from back then to there because it's already been taken. So you got to figure out, okay, where can they put them? Where's the space they could do? Maybe they can inter the bodies. Maybe they can burn the bodies, and cremate them and stuff like that would save time and save costs and stuff like that. But 21 million. So they decided to let them just sit there and just rest in peace. So I guess they're going to build a museum, if you will. That was in 2014. So that was, nearly 7.5 years ago. So we don't know officially what's going on since. Hopefully, though, they have become, I'd like to keep that one. I'd like to listen to see what happened there because Mississippi is, well, it's got some history, voodoo, and all that stuff, too. Moving on down.
Heading on to Missouri.
Ah, Missouri.
I have a couple friends in Missouri.
I know one person who's in Missouri. I don't talk to her very often anymore. We used to talk all the time.
You know the friends of mine that are in Missouri.
I do.
Yes. So we're going to St. Charles, Missouri, down on Main Street. So this multicolored main drag looks like the perfect setting for a Midwestern horror movie. Ooh. Sign me up.
She's right there, ladies and gentlemen.
Charming, peaceful Main Street, USA that's actually haunted by dozens of roaming spirits. The legends date back to 1853.
Ooh.
That's a long time.
That predates the Civil War.
When the old Baremo, I don't know if I pronounced that right, cemetery was moved, and a number of the graves they had dug up had no bodies in them.
Wait.
How are you gonna dig up a cemetery and there's no bodies?
This was in what state? Missouri?
In St. Charles, Missouri.
Okay. So then you look at natural disasters, maybe hurricanes, but no. So it's not in the Gulf.
It's more in the middle of the states.
You know what that sounds like to me is a cash grab. We'll bury your family member here, and they
pay for the plot, we'll bury him.
Right, you pay, we plot. So, and have the corpse rot. I don't know. You could come up with a tagline, but man, think about that. If there was no bodies in there.
And this is supposed to be a decent sized cemetery.
There was not I could see maybe one or two displaced, but like none of them, like they popped them all out. Oh.
Yeah, it says that they dug up a number of graves that had no bodies in them. It doesn't say all of them, but it says a good number of them.
I could see 1, 2, maybe up to 10 or so, maybe got displaced or something like that happened. The family, they decided to grave robbers grab the headstones or the bodies and stuff like that for school or university teaching. But I mean, what are the chances of having more than that pop up and there's nobody in them?
If you think about it, though, it says that the cemetery was moved in 1853. So that's back then. Grave robbing was not as It was frowned upon,
Oh yeah.
but not like not like it is today.
Yeah. Yeah.
You definitely hear more stories of grave robbing back then than you
Yeah.
do nowadays.
The
So I
laws have
mean
changed.
that could be a reason for there to be no bodies in them, but you never know.
Another thing too is unlike today, it wasn't really calculated back then. It wasn't as good as kept in order like
Yeah, the
list.
records.
Yeah, either the records just got burnt or just got destroyed because of paper they used back then, or it was just never really tracked.
Yeah.
I don't know the history of St. Charles. I don't know much of it. I've never really heard of it until today. But I mean, record keeping back then was not as extent it is today because people will sue the pants off you if if you're
One
buried.
mistake and you're done.
You're done. That's really crazy.
So these spirits are rumored to haunt the shops at 700 South Main Street, where objects vanish inexplicably and mysterious cooking smells emerge.
Cooking smells.
Yes, cooking smells like old-timey food.
That's different.
And apparently a deep French-speaking voice. The town is also home to a haunted community college, a haunted high school, and a haunted forest.
I smell road trip. Let's go. Let's go. That's like the middle between you and I. So let's get going. Let's do this. I could be there in about 10 hours, give or take, or less. I don't think it took me that long to get from here.
It'd probably take me a little bit longer.
Yeah, you got some states in front of you.
Yeah.
But at least you could go on the west side.
Middle.
Well, see, you would go up and then, or just go west and then up.
I'd follow the panhandle and then shoot up.
See, I have water in front of me, which sucks. I'm surrounded, so I have to go me. I had to go through Indianapolis and the Hoosier State and transverse that way and dodge the 180 or US 80 or whatever it is, the toll roads, which I think is stupid, but that's a really cool place. If it's got haunted cemeteries, it's got a haunted community college, the deep French speaking
in real life.
I'm fascinated because you said a deep French speaking voice. I'm not sure. I know if this was like this was in down further south of Louisiana, obviously the French and stuff, I could see it. But that's interesting. St. Charles. That's a really cool place. Speaking of stuff, now this is a mountainous state I would never go into. The great big sky country. See, I know all the nicknames of the U.S. We should do this one time. You and I should do a contest. We'll have somebody run it for. It's like all really?
I don't know the nicknames for the states.
What about Georgia?
The Peach State?
There you go. What about Florida?
The Sunshine State. I live here. Of course I know that
one.
What
about Ohio?
I don't know.
What about Michigan?
The Wolverine State.
Yay! So let's go. We should do this.
I know Florida, obviously. I know Georgia.
What about
Indiana's the Hoosier State.
Okay. Lone Star State.
Texas.
There you go.
I know Pennsylvania's the Quaker State.
There you go.
That's.
We should do a blind run like that. We should one of these times we should do like trivia. You and I.
When we have a guest on here.
Yes.
They can run it. And
they have to do it.
Trivia.
That would be fun. That would be really fun for a future episode. We'd have that person sit right here, right where my cactus juice is. That person would sit virtually right next to us. And then they could do some trivia. That'd be cool. Let's get back into the Montana, also known as one of the state cacti I will never ever want to go to because of the horrendous mountains known as the Rocky Mountains, the biggest mountains in the U.S. There's a place called it's in the city of Virginia City, Montana. It's called the Fairweather Inn. Now this, if you've ever been to Montana, if you know, there's been a borderline homicidal. If you've ever been homicidal because of the kids in the next hotel room. Okay. Never mind that stuff. Anyways, I know it's just, I was reading something that says if you become homicidal, I don't want to become homicidal.
I see that. It's a little
Well,
off-putting.
well, this lone hotel is a former gold mining town. In this formal gold mining town, I can't read today for shit. It's said to be haunted by the ghosts of kids who get into the manner of shenanigans, or they get into all these crazy stuff. The kids, they move your luggage, they turn lights on and off, and generally annoy the bejesus out of you. So that's interesting. The city now closed Bonanza Inn was also said to be haunted by the ghost of an old nun who was presumably better behaved. So I guess there was a place called the Old Bonanza or something like that. That was an old hotel. Was it Bonanza Inn? Which I guess was fairly close. But this place apparently is just riddled with kids. So you figure...
I mean, that makes me wonder, why is there so many children's spirits there?
It makes me wonder too. And I've heard from talking to people who know about stuff like this with hotels and stuff, back in the 1800s, it was not very uncommon for a family, say a mother, a widow mother, or just a mother who can't afford to raise their child. They would go to a hotel or a motel and they would drop off the kid and they would leave, or they would spend the night there and get up in the middle of the night and leave. The kid would then become, bastard child or a motherless child. And then it would be an orphan. There's the better word for it. So that happened quite a bit. In fact, there's some hotels that I've stayed in where they have seen wandering spirits of kids that are going by back and forth between two hotels. And they're looking for their mom because it is known to be haunted by these kids' spirits because of things like that, which is sad. But hey, that was 1800s. Everything was so much different. There was less laws back then. Somebody decided to start writing laws. You cannot do this. This kid has to be with you at all times. And, once you share DNA, that's it. They're yours for eternity, blah, 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 etc., etc.
See, okay, on that, the dropping them off, I don't see what kind of parent, especially like after they've had their kid for a while, like say Zoe's age, around 5, 6 years old. How would you live with yourself dropping your kid off knowing that they're gonna be alone? Like, I personally, I don't understand it. I mean, I guess it depends on background and where you're dropping your kid off. But if you're just gonna drop them at an inn, you don't know what's gonna happen to them.
Well, it could have been shelter for them. Maybe they had a tragedy. The father, the husband was killed or wasn't around. He was gone. They were homeless, so they were living in the streets. And if you have the money you could come up with, to actually get a hotel room, but you can't afford the kid, or you just want to move on, that was just one way of doing it. And back then, they didn't really punish you for any of this stuff.
Back then, it wasn't like it is now.
I mean, do we even today have foster homes where people are? Is that a thing? I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah.
It's not like Despicable Me or any kind of movie where you can choose kids like a puppies or anything like that, right?
I don't think so.
Thank God.
I think it's what foster family best fits the child's needs.
Now, back in 1800s, that probably would have been like how it was. Today, I don't know. I don't know how that works out. I don't have kids. I don't know.
Kids are hard, but they're worth it.
Yeah, there you go.
And now, moving on from one mountainy state to another cold state.
Yes.
Nebraska.
What's the nickname?
I have no idea. Why don't you tell us, Cactus? You're chock full of these.
It is the Cornhusker State.
What?
Cornhusker State.
Okay.
Known for its corn. I'll stop doing that for now. Go ahead.
All right. So in Nebraska, we're going to Otoe County, and yes, you heard that right. Otoe. Otoe.
Otoe.
Otoe County, Nebraska. We have the Seven Sisters Road. Now, we all get mad at our family members. Most of us get over it. Just get them crappy Christmas presents,
Or never
crappy
speak to
birthday
them.
card.
Never go to their Christmases or.
That's why I said most of us get over it. Not all of them.
I'm lonely. Go
We
ahead.
do not, however, take all 7 of our daughters out to separate hills and kill them,
What?
as one deranged Nebraska man did over a century ago. The road
Uh-oh.
that runs between the site of each gruesome crime is marked as County Road L on the map, but it's named after the sisters who died there.
Ooh.
Cars driving through routinely report headlights going dim or electrical systems failing completely,
Wow.
leaving their cars stalled out in the eerie darkness with the screams of young women echoing through the hills.
Now, you said this is Otoe County?
Yes.
And you said there's a road that runs in between the toe? Or, sorry, in between the side.
Yes.
I slid that in there a little bit. That's crazy. So the 7 daughters got kills.
A deranged Nebraska man took all 7 of his daughters out to separate hills along this road and killed them.
That's messed up. I mean, how do you in vain kill? I see. If it was my life in a threatening situation, I think we've talked about this before. In a life-threatening situation, I could understand it because it's either you or that person, because you know one of you is, or both, something's going to dramatically happen.
Mm-hmm.
But just to go up to somebody and just do something that gruesome, and
your kids especially,
and on top of it is your own, your genetic pool,
your own flesh and blood.
That they probably wish they would have dropped them off at a motel or a hotel instead of killing them. But see, I think murder first degree back then was automatically you get hung. I think, depending on the state.
I mean, it says this is Nebraska, and it was over a century ago. So I don't know what the laws were back then, but
very, very loose compared to today.
Yeah, no doubt.
Hey, Bunny.
I know where you're going.
You want to take a trip to Nevada with me?
I do not.
Come on.
Nope, because I know exactly where you're saying where you're.
But this place is crawling with 2,000 plus clowns. Now, okay. So you probably see, if you've seen shows on TV, there's ghost shows on TV. I won't mention them, but
I've seen.
You know where I'm going. Yes. There is one particular episode where the host, actually the main character of the show, is in this place. This place I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen, is called the Clown Motel. It is in Tonopah, Nevada, which is just not too far outside of Vegas, I would assume. But this motel has over 2,000 clown figures and some seriously ghosty vibes. There's it's a decades-old motel next to a dilapidated cemetery in a small town dotted with mining ruins. So some of those cemeteries and headstones and stuff are probably those who were in the mines who didn't mind being buried there because they were in the mines back that way. Bad joke. Anyways,
I will go to the cemetery and the mining ruins, and you can go to the Clown Hotel by yourself. I am not doing it.
I will simply put a blindfold over you.
No, it
and
won't
then
work.
I'll be like, "Oh, we're just going for a quick walk in here." But then you hear that laugh
out the door.
I probably would say the same thing if you were to take me to some yellow jacket ass place, which would be terrible. But yes, okay. So this place, there's a cemetery down the road too, but there's a bonus for this as well too. There's they did renovations to the oh, I didn't know about this. They did some renovations to this place. Okay, you know what happens when you renovate stuff, especially haunted places. It does. It's really bad. They also converted some of the rooms. Okay, so get this. Not only is it just a hotel, motel, I guess a motel. They've also converted some of the rooms into horror themes.
Well,
why would you want to do that is just makes me question mark, but
oh my god, okay.
2000.
See, this is where I am conflicted.
Mm-hmm.
You know me, I love my horror things.
Yes.
I don't like clowns.
You don't like clowns. Yes,
No,
that's
I
very
don't.
true.
I hate clowns. They're terrifying. And a whole freaking motel of clowns, that is a nightmare for me. And then you have to tell me, he converted some of the rooms into horror themes.
In the great silver state of Nevada, yes, they converted it into. So imagine, if you will, not only is it a person like yourself who's very phobic of clowns, which is a very popular phobia, by the way, extremely popular.
I'm
It's one of
not
the
just
top
weird,
ones.
okay?
It's not. No, no, no. But see, I respect you in a sense because I wouldn't really put you in any danger of it. I would just blindfold you first, but and then open it, surprise, and probably get kicked in the.
You'd probably get punched. Not gonna
And
lie.
the hell with the kick, just go straight for the Adam's apple, bam. But yeah, I could see it though. I mean, this place, when I watched that episode, and I know other people too have said they just fairly watched this one the other day. In fact, they were watching this episode, but just to see an arm move or a hand move on its own, and it's a clown arm moving on its own, would throw anybody for a flip.
Mm-mm.
It would be really crazy.
As if a clown motel in the middle of the desert isn't creepy enough, you have to throw in moving clowns.
Yeah, well, they're haunted. You know, dolls and clowns,
I
and
know.
they're considered
Dolls are
vessels.
vessels.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But why has it gotta be clowns? Why couldn't it be just like Disney princess dolls? Make them something cute.
Something, yeah, radical or something.
Make them puppy dogs. I don't know.
But would you really want, in the middle of the night, you wake up and there's a princess who's in there? I want to kill you. I mean, wouldn't that freak you the hell out even worse?
Of course it would.
I mean, you're sitting there, you close your eyes and you open your eyes and the flash of lightning, and there is a princess like on the table,
Ariel.
just with a knife or something, or some kind like a shoe, just ready to bat you over the head.
That Chucky-esque
yeah,
flash of lightning.
Yes, exactly.
Showing the silhouette.
Boy, it sure does thunderstorm a lot during horror movies. Speak of, they have a new horror movie coming out. Well, I think we mentioned it about the Halloween.
Yeah.
The Halloween one comes out this month.
I've been seeing a lot of, ads and stuff for that.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Crazy.
I think we have time for one more.
Yeah, go for it. You wanted me to do it? You want to do it?
I'll do it. Well,
Gotcha.
Let's take a road trip to New Hampshire. Now, we're going to Bretton Woods in New Hampshire to Mount Washington Hotel. Now, the name alone kind of gives me those creepy vibes.
Yeah.
So we're going with the tale of Carolyn Stickney. Now, that sounds like the worst Disney princess story ever. Now, she married the hotel's founder, who died right before construction was done on the hotel. Then she remarried into European royalty, but she too soon passed not long after. She never checked out of the Mount Washington Hotel, though. She appears in people's photos as a hazy apparition, floats around the hallways, and is a regular fixture in room 314. Apparently, her favorite place to challenge the notion of the 5-star accommodations. The 4-poster bed she slept in remains in the room, where you can still hear her voice.
Ooh.
Sounds really creepy. I wouldn't want to sleep there.
Phantom voices. I mean, if you've never heard it, or it truly happens, ladies and gentlemen. It truly happens. I've heard it, witnessed it many times, dozens of times. It's a creepy sound. It doesn't sound like our voice. It almost sounds like almost sounds kind of hollow. What are you doing, buddy? Yeah, it's a creepy, hollow sound at some points. I'd like to go there too. I've never really been on that side. I've never been in New Hampshire. I've been in those general area like Vermont. I've never been into and all those weird places. Not weird, but you know.
I mean, I would give that one a look through.
I would too.
But not the Clown Hotel.
Now, coming up after the break, Fufu, we're going to go back into the funny things of the future technology, cool gadgets of 2021. Now, we touched base last week on this as well, too, but we still haven't gone through the full set of lists because there's so many different things. There's so many cool little things that they're a bit pricey to some, but hey, for those guys and millennials and Gen Ys who can afford it, it's for you.
Go.
There you go.
I mean, I think we've only gotten through like a quarter of this list.
Hasn't been very much. So we'll return after these messages. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Come back to that. You are listening to the Megabyte Podcast.